Here.
Mr. Davis.
Here.
Mr. Loretto.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Metcalf.
Here.
All members of council are here and accountants. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Your Honor. I make a motion that we approve the minutes of November 10th, 2015 and November 17th, 2015.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and second that we approve the minutes of November 10th, 2015 and November 17th, 2015 as presented. Roll call.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Loretto.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf.
Aye.
So moved. Minutes accepted. Petitions and communications, Madam Clerk.
I have none.
Before we move into tonight's ordinances and resolution, if you notice on the tentative agenda, ordinance number 2015-101 is listed. At the present time, it is tabled. Mr. Paul.
Yes, Your Honor. I make a motion to remove from the table ordinance number 2015-101.
Second.
It's been rarely moved and second that ordinance number 2015-101 be removed from table. Roll call.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Loretto.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf.
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-101 will be removed from table and under consideration. Ordinance number 2015-101 by the Finance Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for its third reading.
Ordinance number 2015-101, an ordinance to amend Chapter 191 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Steubenville regarding municipal income tax.
Before I call for public comments on ordinance number 2015-101, I'd like to remind everybody the reason that it was tabled because of Exhibit A. All members of council and the public has received a copy of Exhibit A that is attached. With that, is there anyone wishing to speak on ordinance number 2015-101? Please come forward, state their name and address. If not, members of council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Loretto.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf.
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-101 duly adopted. Ordinance number 2015-110 by the Planning Committee, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for its second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-110, an ordinance authorizing the city manager and urban projects director to advertise for bids for the 2016 CDBG Street Improvement Program, subject to the right to reject any and all bids, authorizing entering into said contract with the lowest and most qualified bidder, and authorizing payment thereof.
You heard the second reading of ordinance number 2015-110. The third and final reading will be scheduled 2 weeks hence on December 8th. Ordinance number 2015-111 by the Economic Development Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. Johnson.
Ordinance number 2015-111, an ordinance declaring the improvement of certain real property located in the city of Steubenville, Jefferson County, Ohio, to be a public purpose. Declaring such property to be exempt from real property taxation, designating specific public infrastructure improvements that once made will directly benefit the parcels for which improvement is declared to be a public purpose, requiring annual service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund, approving the execution of a TIF agreement, approving the execution of a developer's agreement, designating a tax incentive review council, establishing non-discriminatory hiring policies, providing related authorizations pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Sections 5709.40B, 5709.42, 5709.43, and 5709.85, and declaring an emergency.
You heard the reading of ordinance number 2015-111. Before I call for public comments, Mr. Alden, would you like to make any remarks?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to make some preliminary comments as we move into considering ordinance 2015-111 and resolution 2015-112. I think as all of us are aware, and the council and our citizens, that there is Franciscan University and the development that's been taking place along University Boulevard, and that development and activity, it really is transforming University Boulevard in our community, transforming that corridor. And we've been working with the university, with the school district, and other parties for a number of months now. I think, I see, I'd like to introduce Mr. Skibiak. He's all the way in the back row, but he's here and he's representing the university. And I think we started to discuss this project maybe April. Does that sound right?
Earlier than that.
Well, in earnest, maybe.
Yes.
In April of this year, but Dave is right. A number of months before that. And this project, I'm very pleased as city manager to bring these and support these pieces of legislation that come to council this evening. The proposed investment along the University Boulevard corridor is about $10 million in our community. Will lead to new job growth and economic activity. And two of the tools that the city has at its in its toolbox to assist projects like this are tax increment financing and utilizing our community reinvestment area. So we sought out the assistance of Mr. Price Finley. Mr. Finley is sitting over in the gallery next to Mr. Lewis, and Mr. Finley is an attorney with Bricker and Eckler, and has assisted us in the preparation, development, negotiating of this economic development project. And at this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Price and ask him for maybe some comments, a bit of summary of what we've been trying to achieve here, and then certainly open it up for council's questions of myself, Mr. Finley, and Gary, and I'll be happy to try to answer those. So, Price, if you could, appreciate it.
Would you like me to stand down?
All right.
I can stand down here if
Okay.
you like.
That would be great.
And microphone should be on.
Good evening. Price Finley, Bricker and Eckler, thank you for having me this evening. We've been working on this project for several months now, and this, as Tim mentioned, involves the use of two important economic development tools: tax increment financing and the use of a community reinvestment area tax incentive program. These two tools can be used together. One involves, with respect to the CRA program, the abatement of increased property taxes derived from this project for a limited period of time. And that is done pursuant to the creation many years ago by the city of the community reinvestment area. And in fact, Ohio law provides that projects like this that are undertaken within this community reinvestment area are eligible for the tax exemption that is outlined. And the purpose of the resolution that you'll consider later this evening is to memorialize the arrangement with respect to the use of the community reinvestment area tool as the incentive to facilitate this mixed-use development that Franciscan University is undertaking. The other tool that we've been working on is what's called tax increment financing, and that is not an abatement. The property owner continues to make property tax payments with respect to the increased value created from the project. but those revenues are instead allocated directly toward the cost of public infrastructure improvements that directly benefit the development itself. And in this case, there are several categories of public infrastructure improvements that are going to be made, including water line improvements and so forth, that will promote or facilitate this project. And what we've done in this case and have negotiated over the course of really, over 6 months now, is an arrangement where the city, through ultimately the passage of this ordinance, would authorize the tax increment financing program, would authorize the tax exemption and the use of those revenues to pay for the costs of the public infrastructure improvements. This arrangement also involves compensation payments to go to the Steubenville City School District and the Jefferson County Joint Vocational School District. Those compensation payments are derived in part from payments directly from the developer, that's an affiliate of the university, as well as the allocation of a portion of the tax increment financing payments and a portion of increased income tax revenues that might be generated from this project. And the important notes that there are that will only be with respect to new employees that come from this project. So we're not talking about taking any of the existing income tax revenue and diverting that into this use, but instead to allocate a portion of the new income tax revenue generated from the project and using it for this purpose. That's what makes this a true win-win, as we hope it will be for the entire community. The school district has participated in extensive negotiations with the university and with the city throughout this process. Last week, both boards of education approved the compensation arrangement that is outlined in the tax increment service payment agreement. That's part of the authorization under this ordinance. The other agreement that is authorized by this ordinance is called the developer's agreement, and that is the agreement pursuant to which the developer will undertake to make these infrastructure improvements. What's important to note is that throughout, the city is indemnified by the developer for any of these costs or anything relating to the costs incurred from the development and from the construction of the infrastructure improvements. So the city is not assuming any liability with respect to either the creation of sufficient revenue to pay for these costs over time, or to assuming liability with respect to the actual construction work to be done. So this is all with respect to additional property value and additional property taxes to be generated from those increased property values. If they don't occur, the city is not at risk with respect to those revenues. It's really a way to put this in place and let the developer put this project in place and hopefully be able to recoup the costs of the infrastructure improvements that they're going to make. So no city dollars are going directly into the projects funded by the TIF. That's probably more of an overview than you wanted about the agreements itself. But I'm happy to answer any additional questions that you might have.
Are there any questions from members of council? Mr. Rowland, did you have a follow-up?
No, I just wanted to thank Mr. Finley and also, again, reiterate our thanks for the cooperation and just the spirit with which the city and school district work together on this project, and certainly with the university's help. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out our Evan Skirty is in the back, and Evan's been supportive of it as well, of this project with our executive director with the Jefferson County Port Authority. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Bolin and Mr. Finley. I too want to express the city's gratitude for your paying such close attention to this. And I'd like to tell our citizens that, yes, we have been working since earlier this year on the TIP and the community reinvestment area. We know that we had those mechanisms in place, the legislation in place for years, and we can move forward with the project. This is one of the very first ones we're applying it to. However, we have been really working on this project for several years. I see Dave back there smiling in the last row. I can recall probably about 7 years, maybe 8 years ago, when some of us were trying to build up consensus, let alone with the community, but with the members of the administration and council, and selling one of our assets to the Franciscan University. That asset was a 9-hole golf course. We were successful moving that forward for future economic opportunities. In that deal, we were also able to secure the selling of what we call the Green Strip on University Boulevard, where our former city garage was at. After many months, literally years, of doing core drillings, environmental reviews on that strip and all, we were able to move that forward for a sale and did a report on that particular area. But this took a lot of planning over several months and years. And we're at a point now where we see dirt moving on Franciscan University, and it is a great sight to see that dirt move. The economic impact, the new entrance to our community is really going to have an outstanding effect to our community. But this didn't come easy. It took a lot of planning, a lot of phone calls, a lot of negotiations. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for the Franciscan University and the Steubenville School District, and hopefully council's approval tonight, none of this would be a reality for our community. But there's a lot to be proud of this evening with this particular legislation and the resolution that's following it, to put the right ingredients to make it acceptable and affordable to all three partners is extremely important. And council can do that tonight with the adoption of this legislation.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Finley. With that being said, is there anyone wishing to speak on ordinance number 2015-111? Please come forward, state their name and address. Not members council.
Question?
Roll call.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-111 duly adopted. We will now move on to resolution number 2015-112 by council as a whole.
Resolution number 2015-112, a resolution to approve an agreement and authorize the mayor or city manager to sign the agreement between the city of Steubenville and Good Venture Properties LLC to provide incentives available for project development in the community reinvestment area number 1.
Mr. Metcalf.
Yes, Your Honor. I move that resolution 2015-122 be given its second, third reading this evening, Your Honor, and suspend that.
112.
112.
You want to waive the second and third reading?
Yeah, I want to waive the second and third readings. I lost my microphone at the same time. Waive the second and third readings for resolution number 2015-112 and be considered for adoption this evening. Thank you, Your Honor.
Second.
So regularly moved to second that we will waive the second and third reading on resolution number 2015-112. Roll call.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
So moved. We will waive the second and third reading on resolution number 2015-112. Will the clerk please read the caption?
Resolution number 2015-112, a resolution to approve an agreement and authorize the mayor or city manager to sign the agreement between the city of Steubenville and Good Venture Properties LLC to provide incentives available for project development in the community reinvestment area number 1.
Is there anyone wishing to speak on resolution number 2015-112? Please come forward, state their name and address. Members of council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Belknap?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DeLoreto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
So moved. Resolution number 2015-112 duly adopted. That will conclude the ordinances and resolutions before City Council this evening. We will now move to the report of committees, and we'll start off with Mr. Paul.
I have nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Mr. Bill Magna?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Magna. Mr. Davis?
I have no legislation, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Diaretta?
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Diaretta. Mr. Johnson?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Metcalf?
Yes, Your Honor, a few items here. First of all, council met in executive session earlier, dealing with our evaluation of our city manager's contract. After discussion, council's come up with a satisfactory evaluation. We're doing a good job for the city manager. There's no pay adjustments at this time for him. And a copy of all of our evaluations will be tabulated by our council clerk, presented to all the members of council and to our city manager. So that's it on the evaluation. The second thing is next Tuesday, right after the Sunshine meeting, we're at this point going to contact Mr. Barilla to set up a finance meeting just to review the 4 contracts. We make sure we get that all in line before the end of the year. So I'd ask Tim for yours, Gary's, and the staff's to get their opinion on the existing contract and be available if Mr. Barilla is free that evening. And then lastly, council, again, just one last time met prior to this meeting, and again, 5 candidates that are interested, Royal Mayo, Jeff King, Peter Respect, Scott Dressel, and Ann Sweeney, to potentially serve as 4th Ward representative. We will be meeting Wednesday, December 2nd, 5 o'clock here in open forum, and the interviews will be in alphabetical order. Your Honor, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Metcalf. That will conclude the report of committees from the members of council. We will now move into the report of the administrative officers, and we'll start off with our city manager, Mr. Paul.
Your Honor, I have no report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bowler. We'll move on to our law director, Mr. Rapella.
I have no report, Your Honor.
And tonight we also have our finance director, Mr. Lewis.
I have no report.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. That will conclude the report of the administrative officers, none signing in under miscellaneous. We will now move to public forum. Is there anyone wishing to speak to city council on city business? Please come forward and state their name and address. If not, Mr. Metcalf.
2 questions. And I don't know all the candidates who applied for
Can
council.
you please state your
No,
name?
Sorry, thought you knew me. John Nash, about 6,000 Bay Park. I don't know all the people who applied for the position of the 4th Ward council seat. I'm just curious if any of them are here tonight.
I don't believe so.
Shows a lot of interest. Number 2, is the leaf collection finished for the year? And the reason, because I don't recall being announced. The reason I'm asking is because I see several streets with leaves really stacked up. And I know they were picked up one time, and which is generally, I think, the past policy. You come around, you get them, and that's it. But there are several streets with a lot of leaves, and I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, if I can, Your Honor, Mr. Mansfield, what we typically do is go out into December and a few more weeks left to go. I don't anticipate that ending for, again, a couple more weeks.
I'm just curious, no, if it's gonna be around this one, that's all I wanted to know, really.
That's typically our approach, and I agree there are some streets that I've seen dwell out there that the leaves are
Single lane
still,
traffic.
leaves, those darn leaves, but no, we take
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to city council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address. Mr. Mayhew.
Yes, Your Honor, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
It's been ready moved and seconded that we adjourn. Roll call.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.